So I'm going to put the, it's not this one, not this one. Okay, this one. So the link of the videos, okay, sorry. Okay, so I'm gonna put the link of the video. Okay, this is it's actually is on. It's actually was on the Cybersecurity Expo, not the virtual conference that we joined. So the video link is here. So I'm going to copy and put the link into the class. Okay. Conversation, I'll put the link into the class. So if you have time, just go ahead and browsing around on the topic that you might interesting. Okay. And before we get started, so I'm going to talk about the midterm exam. Okay. So for the midterm exam, okay, for the midterm exam is going to be two parts. One time only, okay? It's going to be two parts until the beginning of this class, not really to the end, because poetry is boring. I know it's going to be boring if it's not real word, and it's talking about enforcing as well. So first part is going to be the written one, multiple choice of 4. Okay, and the second part is going to be 5 written one with a small topic, not that big topic. Some will have small topic, but some is just really the explanation of the knowledge. Okay, so it's going to be two parts. Both of the part, you have to write everything down on the exam booklet. Okay, for example, the first part, 1A, 2B, 3C, and so on and so forth. And the second part you can write down on the exam booklet. Okay, everything will be written down on the exam booklet. And you going to be you allowed to bring one page of A4 paper, one piece of A4 paper, using handwriting both sides. If you can write on the edge, it's up to you. And if you really need the magnifier, you can bring it into the room. Okay. So I don't know what I am going to see in this one. Let me have a look. Okay. Hopefully I'm going to be on this page, okay? Okay, let's just get started. Today is going to be quite quick before the midterm exam. So it's probably take 1 hour, 1 and a half. And after that, I'll let you ask the question if you don't have the question. So we see each other again next week. I'm going to be in the exam rooms as well. Okay. So Today, I'm going to talk about the security and policy. Remember what I have told you earlier in the beginning of the class about one of the mistaking of my friend call center problem. So I'll just remind you again. So one of my friend he was the manager of call center, which is they have like 50 computer and like 25 or 10 to 25 normal working 24 hours a day, which is this call center is the insurance company. Remember? Yes, and during that time, they just have only 2 megabit per second link ADSL to the office, which is going to link into the headquarter. So whenever that the accident happen, okay, so the customer will call to the call center. A call center going to put whatever number, the insurance number or the license plate number into the computer, and it will pop up the information with like some of the contact very close to the area that they are there. So what problem what problem was that I told you? This call center office have no policy about the network using, right? So he called me and told me that he had the problem that the network connection was very slow, and the response time to the user or the customer is more than like 2 or 3 minutes before the information pop out from the data center. Sometimes take like 30 seconds to 1 minute or sometimes 2 minutes. So he's not at the plan, he ordered to install another ADSL 2 megabit per second. So what happened? What happened that time they told you? Remember, what happened that I told you? So when we do the network monitoring, the thing that I find out that the employee used the network to download movie and what? Music back home every day. So for this kind of the movie download client during that time is what like LimeWire, Bearshare. You might have heard about that. I don't think we have Torrent during that time. I cannot remember. It's like more than 10 years already. So they normally take one movie back home and enjoy after the work hour. So I told my friend that doesn't matter. When we do the monitoring, we find out that is misusing of the company network bandwidth to download their own personal stuff. Remember what I told you? More than like 70%, 80% they are porn movie. So it doesn't matter if my friend just install another ADSL link, another 2 megabit per second. That one going to give the favor to the employee to have 2 movies back home. Either another 2 to 6 megabit per second. They're going to get 3 movies at home, back home. So the thing is, they don't have the policy to enforce the worker or the employee to use the infrastructure of the company to do the job first. Okay, so after that, we set up the policy, and today we're going to talk about, policy is very simple. I'm not going to allow you to download movie now. MSN is okay. During that time, I remember it was MSN. You can use MSN. You know MSN, right? It's like the live application, the chatting application. It's okay. So once we set up the policy, we have to enforce the policy too, and that one going to change the normal behavior of the worker and you get the benefit workers as well. Okay, let's just get to the class today. If we're talking about the security issue, there are a lot of problems. For example, accessibility. Who or system or the service can be accessed. The next one, for example, of vulnerabilities. Okay, this is a vulnerable or is have to be there when you need it. The next one, reliability, is mean that the legal information. Nowadays, we're talking about PDPA. You know PDPA, right? It's the personal law, digital data law for the personal use, something like that. Integrity is mean the lightness of the information. The next one we call confidentiality is mean we have to keep it private. Hush. This one is the another security, which is we talking about the network design called the disaster recovery. So you know what the disaster recovery mean? This one here have been very popular for the last, like, I think it's 17 years. I remember during that time, they have the big tornado to the southern part of US, and it's take out the whole city during that time. During that time, when it take out the city, many network and the communication infrastructure went down. So disaster recovery is mean that we're talking about how are we going to set up the DRC, the Disaster Recovery Center. For example, in Thailand, okay, we force many organizations to set up the DRC site. For example, the banking system. For the banking system, they're going to have the headquarters, which is they're going to keep the data. We call the data center doing over there. So every customer information, customer account, customer amount of the money will be normally kept at the data center in headquarters. So the thing is, what happened if the disaster happened at the headquarters? The next one is the same, the stock exchange of Thailand. Being forced to have to set up the DRC sites as well. What happened if the whole building have some disaster? What it happen? For many government in Thailand, they set up the DRC sites as well. So normally for the DRC site, we have library talking about downtime and the data lost. If we have less downtimes, it's more expensive. If we have no data loss, it's more expensive. Okay, let's talk about banking system. Can we have data lost? No. So that one is expensive. The next one, can we have some downtime? System, the whole system shut down, you cannot withdraw money. We can have a little. Basically, they say that they have to be 7/24 hours, right? So with this kind of the service or some of the government department, we require the DRC, and basically the DRC have to be set up at headquarters and another 50 kilometers away for the headquarters. And the link between these two centers have to be the fiber optics. For example, one of the government department, which is we call, I don't know how to call that one in English, but it's called Samano Khua Prachakon. The headquarters is in Sanam Ma Nang Leung, very close to that one. And the DRC is called 13. They have the fiber optic links between these two sites. And The DRC site is like 70% of the size of the real site and is real zero downtime and is real zero data loss. So what happened at the headquarters? They can move the officer to the DRC site and they can operate on that one. Even the DRC side, they don't have that much officer, but they keeping the mirror almost the same server, almost the same storage as the headquarters. In the banking system is the same. The data will save on the headquarters and save on the DRC side as well. So this one here is mean the task of the data that keep. Yeah, of course, we're talking about the education that we give to the worker. Remember the book that I told you, The Art of Intuition, about the case of the Citibank. And he said that the novice had machine, professional had people. About the guy that they hired two ladies go to the bar taking photo and give the thumb drive to the bank managers. It's the same thing. And yeah, of course, is the issue is the cost. Okay. There are three things that are market-led, which is availability, integrity, and confidentiality. Which is this one here. We call the CIA, and this one here have been listed as the triangle of the InfoSec. Is the main three most important if we're talking about secure or security of the information or the data. Okay, once again, we call the CIA. Okay, this is stand for confidentiality, integrity, availability. Okay, three things. So what is the confidentiality? Can you tell me again? We have a piece of information, and I said that this information have to be secure according to the InfoSec. So we're talking about this triangle of the CIA. So what is the confidentiality? Yeah, it means that this one have to be kept private or secret for just a authorized user to be able to access it, to read it, or to delete it. It means confidentiality. So we going to lose confidentiality if we leak this information out. For example, this one is confidentiality, your bank account with username and the password. If you leak out, confidentiality is lost. If the banking system or the bank company cannot keep confidentiality of your account, it's not safe anymore. The first one, confidentiality, is mean that the information have to be accessed by the authorized user only. The next one, integrity. Can you tell me what the integrity means? Yes. So the integrity means the lightness of the information. Okay. I'm going to tell you another one too. Availability. What is the availability mean? It means that it has to be there when you need it. I give you some example. For your bank account, they have to have confidentiality. It means that it have to be accessed by the authorized user, which is you only. The availability means it have to be there when you need it. I have 1 million baht in my bank account, but where is it? It's zero. Oh, no. So it means that if I have this information, so when I need it, it have to be there. It means availability when I need it. If some of the hacker can delete it out, that means the system don't have a vulnerability anymore. This means your information have been deleted or lost. Different than confidentiality, right? Confidentiality is there, but someone can see the information. No. But if they are not there or they've been deleted by the hacker, you don't have a vulnerability. And the last one called integrity is mean the lightness or the correctness of the information that you keep. I have $1 million in my bank account. If I can change it into 100 million baht, or if a hacker make it into 0 baht, this means the information is there, but the lightness or the correctness of the information has been changed or violated by some of the hacker. So when we're talking about the InfoSec, the three is the main measure that we have to secure three of them with the information inside. If we lost one of them, for the security, we said that it's not secure or you lost the CIA triangle. Okay. Question until here, until now? If you want, you can search on the internet about the CIA, which is going to be the Center of Intelligence Agency, which is in US, but the CIA in computer network is mean this one here. This is the goal. Okay. I explained this one already. This one here, I explained it already. It means the info security triangle. We do have information inside protected by this three triangle. So when we're talking about the network design or data communication, so on and so forth, we're going to have to concern of these three as the major. Of course, we do have the other thing, for example, trust, right? For big company, we have to set up the DRC site. This is if some disaster happened to the main headquarter building, our data is still in another place. Okay. So I'm talking about the whole thing already. Confidentiality, what the meaning of that one. Integrity, what the meaning of that one. And availability and the meaning of that one. So do you have any question on this one? Good. So for the network policy, this is some kind of the very boring and crucial and many times that when we go to the company that did not plan properly, especially for the small company long time ago, they just buy and install network stuff, buy and install network stuff, buy and install network stuff. The user can use whatever that they wanted. And when they have the problem, now the policy will come. It means the law will come. And when you let the user use bad behavior on the network infrastructure, and once you want to enforce them, you're going to give the very bad negative feedback from the user. And it's going to be very painful for the network admin to fight with the user as well. It's the same. If you just build up the street and load, you don't have any traffic law, and you let the car just run. So the traffic jam will happen. If you went to, I don't want to say that not good, but if you went to China a long time ago, the last time that I went to China, it was like 2 years ago. But before that one is like 15 years ago. China and India, the same. The street is for everything, no direction. The footpath It for everything, no direction. You can spot like very small car going to or coming back from the footpath. The motorcycle can go like many ways. When the accident happened, okay, the traffic police, they don't even care. They just stand and let these two opponents that they got the accident together just chow on each other, fight to each other for 1 hour. And they just stare, okay, okay. When you finish, just tell me. Just like that one. In India, it's the same. So that one, many accidents going to happen many times because you don't have a very good law enforcement as well. In Thailand, if you have read from many research, they said that the only way to taking care of the traffic in Bangkok is law enforcement. Do you know what the law enforcement mean? It means that it have to be 100% law enforcement. Nowadays, it's good, it's better, not good. But if you drive on the street, you can see, right? The U-turn is on the center lane, right? To U-turn to the other side. But normally you have to keep the left at the right hand at the center lane to make a U-turn. But nowadays I can see like sometimes they're going to use the center lanes as well to make the U-turn. Or many times it's worse, use the last lane to make the U-turn. With that one, you block half of the street for you to U-turn already. When I want to go back home, I ride on this street. So I know it's just really the street on the corner street very close. So it's two direction, right? So it's many times that I spot the car that they normally have to go along the queue. But when we have some of the traffic stop, I can spot some car going to the other queue until it's blocked the incoming car, and that will cause disasters as well. So for many countries that if you have read the report, they said that the only way to make the traffic better in Bangkok is 100% law enforcement. For example, if the motorcycle go the footpath, you find them. For example, if any car or motorcycle come reverse, you have to fight. Not just like they're saying this, but not just like let them come until they do that one as normal behavior. And at the end of the month, when the officer, they don't have that much enough money. So they come to that spot that they left normal, do as bad normal behavior, the bad, do normal, even as normal behavior. And you catch them on fire and you make some money. So you have to make sure that every time that is someone doing this, you have to fight it for 100%. But we cannot enforce in Bangkok. For some of the country, they really enforce. They're really enforced. Okay, let's just come back to this one. So I'm going to talk about these 12 steps. And after that, I'm going to talk about the enterprise network, which is we're going to have a lot of the network devices, which we're going to cover after the exam midterm exam, sorry. Okay, so if you want to decide the security and enforce policy on the network, we have 12 steps. That long. Okay, this is I write down the detail on that one. I'm not going to go to like 32 or 30 slices, but I'm going to keep with this topic. But this topic, I explained that one already in the slide, okay? But I'm going to keep on this page of the slide. The first one here, the first one, whenever if you are the company that go to one of the enterprise and you want to secure the network with the policy, the first one here is mean you have to do the survey. and identify the network asset. Whatever asset, information is the asset, computer is the asset, data is the asset, network connection is the asset, router is the asset, computer is the asset. Everything that we use for the information system, we do have to survey and list that one or identify that one is the asset. The first time that you go in is going to be more than 1,000 for company, or more company. Once you survey and find out the asset, my mobile phone, which is bought, which is giveaway from the company, is the asset. This means that device that I use the networks as well. So once you identify the asset is the first step after the survey. We have to go into every asset and analyze the security list on each item of the asset. For example, I have the customer information in this hard disk, in this server, and in the hard disk. So what is the security list? The hacker may hack it in. The hard disk might be malfunction. The server might be down, or the power surge might take down the whole server. So we have to identify all the security leaks on the asset. Okay. On every item of the asset. Because after that, we have to come up with the security requirement that we analyze with the trade-off. What is the trade-off? It means that, hey, this is my server, my database server. I want to make it very secure. So I put some of the security device. Hey, the hard disk might be went down. So, okay, or the whole server might be went down. So I use the mirror server. These two servers, they are the same. So whatever the safe on this server will be safe on this server as well. If this server went down, this server going to take test and replace the server. During that time, we have to repair or fix that server. So you have the backup server. If your network is really important and the asset is the internet connection to the ISP, and I said that it's not going to be never ever went down. So I might have two connection from different ISP to two router and cross it doing the load balancing and doing the fabric of the design of the web network, the fabric of the switch. So if this router to this ISP went down, I can redirect to another ISP. That one means it's duplicated of the network fabrics. If something went down, another one can take place, okay, and it can still be connected to the network. So the third step is mean you analyze, okay, so you analyze the things with the requirement to protect it with the price to trade off. If I saying that my mail server have to be protected with junk mail, so I have to buy a software called the spam mail filter. And the trade-off is mean 400,000 baht. The trade-off is normally mean some loss that you have to pay. But most of the time it's about the product or technology that we have to buy and the price that we have to pay. So finally, okay, we develop the security plan that whatever the technology or the device that we want to buy to protect this security. And after that, we set up the first pen, second pen, third pen. We talk to the CFO or the owner of the company that this pen is cost 10 million baht, this pen cost 5 million baht, and this pen costs probably 2 million baht. But whatever the trade-off, if you don't want to protect from the spam mail filter, the trade-off is mean that your mail server might be went down, or sometimes when it's been stormed or filled up with the spam mail. So you have to accept it. But if you say that, no, I cannot accept it, the trade-off is mean you have to pay more. So between this one here, we have to talk between the engineer and the CFO until we have the real plan, whatever that we need to buy them. And after that, step number 5, once we know what to buy and the trade-off, we're going to develop the policy to enforce the user. For example, okay, I know one of the government department, US government department, very close to Anusawari. They are the US Army departments as well. The thing that they enforce is mean that they never ever allow you to bring personal digital device into that department. Thumb drive, mobile phone, no, put it there. So it means that if you work there, if you want to go in there, everything have to take off the digital devices. So forget about put the thumb drive into their computer. They not allow you to take it in. When they're like 2 or 3 times, they have some of the network problems. So it means the policy. If you have the good policy at the beginning, so it means that the user don't have to adapt. So you get less negative feedback for the user. Okay, once you develop the policy, so now we have to come up with the plan. We develop the procedure to apply this policy into the company. Normally, when we develop the plan, we start from educate user, put the poster, or let the user know that whatever, we're not going to allow you to download the torrent because we have facing many problems. There are many one download the torrent until the network went down. University, do we have the policy for the torrent download? Do you know that? Yes. They force you to like kbit per second. You can download, but the speed kbit per second, not really like megabit per second at all. That is the policy. So we might have like some visible information and invisible information that they're going to know by the network admins as well. So we have to develop the procedure to implement it, not just like implement it and enforce it. They're going to be really bad negative feedback. So this one here is to minus or to lower the negative feedback from the user. Error updating product, not restart. Why is forcing me to restart a computer? Once we have the policy is now, we develop the technical implementation. This one is important. Whenever that we want to install some network devices, it might be a downtime, or we have to shut down some of the server. If you are familiar with this one, we are sorry for the bank customer during 1 o'clock, during midnight to 2 o'clock, the bank have to shut down the internet banking for these 2 hours to improve our whatever service. It's normally not like I just want to implement or I shut it down. So you have to have the plan for the real technical implementation to notify the other one, or if you have to shut down the whole department, so what going to cost to the business, or if this one is not the time, so move to like long weekend or move to this long weekend. So you have to develop the implementation strategy to implement it. It's going to be very, very best as well. You have to educate. This one talking about educate your network admins as well. And after that, buy for the supplier. Buy from the supplier. The supplier might be the real devices, including the human outsources as well. The human outsources as well. So normally, if you go to some of the project, it's not just really your engineer can do the whole thing. You might buy the stuff from Cisco, you might buy the stuff from Stonegate. So the stuff from Stonegate going to be installed and held by the engineers as well. So it's come with the hardware, with the people resources from their companies as well. Okay. And after that, once you finish install things, during that time, you have to train. So you have to train whatever user manager, technical staff, wherever, you have to educate them. And after that, now you have to finish and implement the whole system or installation the whole system. So you plan to buy the thing, you train. So at the end, everything have to be implemented. Hardware, policy, install, implemented. Once you finish the implementation, many forget about test phase. You have to test it, keep the record, and correct the error. And yes, at the end, we have to come up with the maintenance plans as well. If this one going down, what plan A, plan B, plan C, or what procedure that we have to follow if this one happened, if this one happened, or that one happened. So it's normally 12 steps when we decide to implement the network for big organization or some of the big enterprise company. 12 steps. Okay, told you is almost 30 pages. So I explained you already, but it's not like all. For example, the asset, I list like 10, 20 of the asset for you. Example of the asset. Paper is the asset. Right? Remember that I told you normal paper. For example, if I have the project for the bidding company tomorrow, today, I have to print out the bidding document, which inside that bidding component is going to have the amount of the money that are going to bid into that project. And normally we're going to print 2-3 times more, maybe 10 times. Maybe the owner or the project manager, they said that make it a bit cheaper, or make it a bit more expensive. So when we print it out, throw the paper away, print it out, throw the paper away. So remember what happened. If I am the opponent company, I can hire the maid that they normally come to clean at night and throw every paper in the bin away. I said that don't throw the paper away. Give the paper to me. I give you 1,000 baht. I give you 2,000 baht. So every paper that you see in the bin, give it to us. I pay you money. So for the maid, they don't have any education, right? They don't even care. Oh, everything is in the bin. I have to throw it away anyway. So why? I can sell like 1,000 to 2,000 baht. But remember that one is what the draft or some of the bidding document version, so I can see their secrets as well. That one have to be protected as well. Okay. As a library for 12 steps. This is in the document. They have probably a bit more detail, but just keep it in that way. Okay, come to this one, the general enterprise network. This one here is not going to be in the midterm exam because it's going to be the thing that I give you information of what we're going to learn after the midterm. So this is some of the library picture of the enterprise network. Firstly, okay, we have ISP connected by the fiber optics to the gateway router. To the gateway router, we normally have the firewall. Okay, after the firewall, we normally have IPS/IDS. The IPS is stand for intrusion detection and intrusion prevention system. This is going to be the software that we learned, very famous one, Nessus, for example, but they do have open IPS/IDS for a lot. It's basically is keep the definition of the attack and it can do the real-time scan for the attack pattern. Okay. For big company, they do have branch. So we have to set up the SSL VPN. We're going to talk about that one. The virtual private network. So from one branch of the bank linked to the headquarters, long time ago, they pay a lot for the lease line. You know, lease line. Never heard about that one. Long time ago, if you have the bank, okay, and if you want the branch to access back into the headquarters, you have to install a real cable, which we call the lead line, from the branch along the electric pole back to the headquarters for every branch. That one is very expensive and you have to pay monthly for very expensive too. Yeah, for the banking system, it's not very expensive. It's cost about like 100. It's like 100,000 baht per month for each line. But installation cost is million. But monthly fee is like 100,000 for each branch that you do installation the line. But nowadays, the line is running what? Very slow T1, T2. It's running at 128 kbit per second, or it's running at like 333 of 250 megabit per second. It's not even close to 1 megabit per second. So it's quite slow. Nowadays we have internet. So we said that why don't we use the internet to carry the data back to the headquarters and use the internet to connect between branch and headquarters. That's why we create VPN. And we're talking about the VPN and SSL VPN. When we use the internet, it means security concern. Because when we use the lease line, the whole line is yours and all your only. But when we use the internet, your data have to go to the public place. How are we going to secure the data? We're talking about the VPN. We have antivirus. And we have the WAN or the network accelerator. What is network accelerator? It's actually the buffer to speed up some of the application buffer to run faster. For example, if you are the construction company and you set up the office at the site that you are building some big building project, and in this small office in the container have to be linked back to the headquarters. And many engineer or the designer, they have to work on many design of the construction, M&E, for example, the pipe, the electricity lines, so on and so forth. So normally they keep the information at the headquarters after they have the design of the architecture to design like the AutoCAD or whatever. But these files, they are big and they have been designed to run on normal landline with inside local network. So 20 or 30 of the architect, engineer, and many parts can design the whole like 104 building together. So the data, they are big. So what happens if you are go to the site, the working site, the construction site, you have to access the data at the head. But if you have to access very big data, it's going to be super slow. For example, if you are design the whole building, like, for example, 30 floors, you have construction, you have M&E, electricity line, you have network cable, you have lighting, you have furniture design. It's a lot of detail that we're talking. So the file, we're talking about gigabyte of the data that we design, right? So if we download 1 gigabyte of the data to the site, you just share the window from just only like 2 cents at the site, and you have to save the file back to the headquarters. Another one back to the headquarters. So that one is super slow, like. Or otherwise, nowadays, okay, the network speed is quite fast. We're talking about 2 megabit, 3 megabit a long time ago. You can see the effects. But even you use 200, 300 megabit per second nowadays, if you have to send 1 gigabyte of the data, 4 gigabyte of the data back to the headquarters, it's painful. So the accelerator, we put both sides and then relate it. You save it locally at the construction site, and this accelerator will propagate back to the head office or the data center for themselves. You don't have to wait for that one. So we're talking about the WAN accelerators as well. After this one, after the firewall, we connect to the level 3 switch. How many in this room have heard about the level 3 switch? Yeah, it's switch, but it's understand IP. So after the router, you can have router. But normally for some of the enterprise, if they have less than 1,000 computer, they might say that, no, I don't care, I just buy the layer 3 switch. So for the switch, you know how the switch works, right? So the switch will remember all of the data of the MAC address on each specific port, right? So I want to send the data from this MAC address to this MAC address. Is go to the switch. Switch will look up at the table, buffer table. Oh, this MAC address is on this port and is forward. That one is normal switch. They have the mechanism to learn the location of the destination MAC address, and they build up the table. Layer 3 switch, yes, they learn IP address as well. So we can say that this port is this subnet, this 2 port is this subnet, or this port is this subnet as well. What different to the router? They cannot link to each switch and propagate and exchange the routing table or routing information. So the routing is static. It cannot be dynamic. If this router went down, go to another router. So it's static for the whole switch. So everything you have to pre-config. This port is this IP, this port is this IP, this port is this IP only. Is that faster than router? Yes. You don't have to calculate. After the third switch, we have two parts, which is actually we can say three parts. The first part we call the DMC side, the DMC zone. Do you know what the DMC zone means? The demilitarized zone. It means, sorry? Between, yeah. But this one here, for the network, we call DMCs as well. This one here is mean every server that we will allow the incoming from the internet, e-commerce server, mail server, web server. So you have to allow the incoming from the internet. We put everything in this DMC zone. We separate it. The order behind the MAC security it means that we normally going to allow incoming connection from the internet to this server at all. If you want to access to this server, you have to be the IP address in local only. Someone want to access this server from outside, from the internet, no way. So we separate them. Another one is the user port, is the third part. So this one here, we normally have the firewalls as well and IPS IDS as well to protect from the inner hackers as well. We're talking about 5 types of IPS IDS as well. Remember from last time I talking about the Dota 2. เดี๋ยวน้องคนไทยแข่งวันนี้10 โมงไม่วะใช่ปะมีทีมไทยแข่งด้วยเมเจอร์ด้วย Okay, so they set up the honeypot. So we're talking about the honeypot techniques as well. Okay. So lastly, this is what to secure normal organization or enterprise network. Every one of them, we go deep into each week until we end up this semester. VPN, SSL VPN, or IPsec. Have you ever heard about IPsec or SSL? We talk about that one as well. And your class, I told you, I'm going to skip the math for the encryption. But you're going to learn the definition of them. Okay, the definition of them. I spent that one already, but after that, I'm going to go into this specific one thing, this one. The wireless LAN security option. If your organization will allow the wireless access to the user now setting, we have to make sure that the wireless is secure. First thing, do not use share password. What is share password mean? If you are at home, it's okay. The password that you have to put, we call the SSID and the password that you log in. Do not use share one. So you might use like the latest authentication server. I'm talking about that one later as well. We might have the VPN or the VLAN for the Wi-Fi as well. If you want to use the Wi-Fi, you're not going to connect to the inner internet. If you want to use Wi-Fi, you can connect to the internet, yes. But you won't allow to access into the company server at all. You have to use the landline or something like that. Okay. Very quick, right?